Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today we're going to be kind of diving into something that I think a lot of people are really interested in,
Yeah.
but also it can be a bit intimidating, which is this whole world of the world's wealthiest individuals. These names that we see, splashed across headlines and financial reports.
Right.
And one of the things that's really interesting right now is that the combined net worth of these individuals has crossed a major threshold,
Yeah.
a collective $10 trillion.
$10 trillion.
Among the 500 richest people
Wow.
on the planet in 2024.
It's really mind-boggling to think about that number, $10 trillion. It's more than just a statistic.
Right.
I mean, it's a reflection of, so many forces that are shaping the global economy, the impact of technology, the consequences of political shifts. I mean, it's a really fascinating lens through which to view the world.
So as you were looking at the data for
Yeah.
this deep dive, what are some of the things that really jumped out at you?
I think one of the most striking trends is the dominance of the U.S. tech industry.
Okay.
It's been a major engine of wealth creation in recent years, and it's really propelled the fortunes of figures like, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jensen Huang, all names you're probably familiar with.
Yeah.
And just to put some numbers to that, just 8 individuals in the tech sector amassed over $600 billion in 2024 alone.
Wow.
Which is a significant chunk of the overall wealth increase among the top 500.
That's incredible. It really makes you wonder, what is it about tech that is just creating this surge of wealth? Is it just the innovation, or are there other things going on?
Well, innovation is certainly a key driver. I mean, we've seen massive advancements in areas like artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, space exploration, and these are all areas that have really captured the imagination of investors and consumers alike.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the technology itself. It's about the access to capital, the ability to scale quickly, and the network effects that these tech giants have created. I mean, they've built platforms and ecosystems that are just incredibly difficult to compete with.
So it's really kind of a perfect storm of different factors that are coming together to create this incredible wealth creation in the tech sector.
Right.
And you mentioned Elon Musk. He's a name that just seems to be everywhere these days.
Oh, he's certainly a fascinating figure to track. His success in 2024 was nothing short of meteoric.
Yeah.
I mean, he solidified his position as the world's richest person with a net worth estimated at over $442 billion.
It's just an unbelievable number.
Yeah, and that's a staggering increase of $213 billion from the start of the year.
So in 1 year.
I mean, he added more to his wealth in a single year than the entire net worth of many other billionaires on this list.
Yeah, it's hard to even fathom that amount of money.
And it's almost unprecedented. I mean, even exceeding the gap between him and Jeff Bezos, who is the second richest person.
So what is it about Elon Musk? Like, how is he doing this? What's the secret sauce?
Well, a few factors contributed to his success. I mean, first, Tesla, his electric vehicle company, continued its dominance in the market. I mean, capitalizing on this growing global demand for sustainable transportation.
Right.
And then there's SpaceX, his space exploration company, which has secured lucrative contracts with both NASA and private companies, further solidifying its position as a leader in the private space industry.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned those two in particular because they're both areas that are getting a lot of buzz and a lot of investment.
Exactly.
So it seems like he's really strategically positioned to kind of ride these waves of innovation.
Right. And it's not just about being in the right industry at the right time. It's about his leadership. It's about his ability to attract top talent, his relentless pursuit of really ambitious goals.
So a combination of factors, the right industries, the right timing, and then his own unique approach to business.
Yeah.
Now, he's not the only one that was kind of impacted by the political landscape.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of talk about this so-called Trump effect on the stock market.
Right.
Can you kind of break that down for us a little bit?
Yeah, the impact of Donald Trump's election win on the markets is a complex one, but there's no denying that we saw a surge in the S&P 500 after the election. I mean, for those unfamiliar with the S&P 500, that's a stock market index that tracks the performance of 500 large companies listed on stock exchanges in the United States. It's often seen as kind of a barometer for the overall health of the U.S. stock market.
Right.
And in the aftermath of the election, the S&P 500 experienced its best post-election day performance in history.
So investors were feeling optimistic about a Trump presidency, at least initially.
At least initially, yeah.
And how did that translate into gains for the billionaires that you track?
Well, the billionaires we track saw their collective wealth jump by a massive $505 billion in the 5 weeks immediately following the election.
Wow.
And it wasn't just a general rise in stock prices. There seemed to be specific sectors and individuals that benefited more than others.
So certain industries were seen as maybe more likely to thrive under a Trump administration,
Yeah.
and investors responded accordingly.
Precisely.
Yeah, that's true.
For example, we saw a significant rally in the energy sector, likely driven by expectations of deregulation and a more favorable policy environment.
Okay, and then there's the whole world of cryptocurrency. Didn't that also experience a surge around the same time?
Absolutely. It's almost as if Trump's victory acted as a catalyst for this historic rally in digital assets. Bitcoin, for example, which is the most well-known cryptocurrency, soared above $100,000 for the first time ever.
So we've got tech stocks booming, we've got the Trump effect kind of shaking things up. Crypto is going wild. It's a lot to keep track of. But were all billionaires riding this wave of success, or were there some that were kind of left behind?
You know, not everyone was a winner. While certain sectors like tech and energy thrived, others faced challenges. One notable example is the luxury goods market, which surprisingly experienced a bit of a slowdown in 2024.
Really, luxury brands taking a hit? That's kind of surprising, especially considering they seem to be doing pretty well during the pandemic.
Yeah, it seems the pandemic era boom in luxury spending couldn't last forever.
Right.
And a key factor in this slowdown was the softening demand in China, which is obviously a crucial market for luxury goods.
Yeah.
And this negatively impacted several French billionaires like Bernard Arnault, François Bettencourt-Meyers, and François Pinault, who together lost a combined $71 billion.
$71 billion. That's a stark reminder that even for the ultra-wealthy, fortunes can change quickly.
Absolutely.
So while some sectors were experiencing incredible growth, others were definitely feeling the pinch.
It's a dynamic landscape.
Yeah.
And even for those at the top, there are no guarantees.
Right. Speaking of dynamic, we can't forget about the world of crypto. Some significant winners emerged there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those Bitcoin gains must have minted some new billionaires.
They did. The surge in Bitcoin's value really had this ripple effect on the fortunes of crypto billionaires.
Right.
Changpeng Zhao, the founder of Binance, which is a popular cryptocurrency exchange platform, saw his wealth jump to an astounding $55 billion.
Wow.
And Brian Armstrong, the co-founder of Coinbase, another prominent exchange, reached an impressive net worth of $11.1 billion.
It's amazing how quickly fortunes can be made and lost in the world of cryptocurrency.
Right.
But, I want to zoom out for a second and go back to that $10 trillion figure that we started with, the combined wealth of the world's 500 richest people. I mean, it's such a massive number, it's hard to even grasp its significance.
It really is. To put it into perspective, that's roughly equivalent to the combined GDPs of Germany, Japan, and Australia.
Oh.
I mean, it really highlights the immense economic power that's concentrated in the hands of a select few.
It's almost like a separate economy, isn't it?
It is.
And it makes you wonder, what are the implications of this level of wealth concentration for the rest of us?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, and we're just scratching the surface here. I think we need to start asking some tough questions. I mean, for example, with this level of wealth concentration, what are the implications for the global economy? What does it mean for social equality and the distribution of wealth?
Those are big questions we're talking about, potentially massive influence, both economic and political.
Exactly. And it's not just about the numbers. It's about the individuals behind these fortunes.
Right.
I mean, we talked about Elon Musk and his incredible success, but there are other fascinating figures in the mix.
Tell me more. Who else caught your attention?
Well, there's Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA. He's been a major beneficiary of the AI boom, and his company's stock has been on fire.
Yeah.
NVIDIA's stock nearly tripled in value this year and briefly became the world's most valuable company. Wow.
I mean, that puts into perspective just how hot the market for AI is right now.
Yeah.
And then there's Mark Zuckerberg, who, despite facing some challenges like scrutiny over data privacy and a hefty antitrust fine from the European Union, has still seen his wealth increase significantly this year.
So we're seeing how different industries and even global events can play a role in shaping these fortunes.
Yeah.
But, let's talk about the flip side. There have to be some dramatic falls from grace as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's not all champagne and caviar for the billionaire set.
Okay, good.
Take Colin Huang, for example. He was briefly China's richest person, but he experienced a very sharp decline in wealth after a disappointing earnings report for his company, Temu.
Okay.
And then there's Ricardo Salinas, who had the unfortunate experience of losing over half his net worth in a single day due to an alleged scam by a former financial advisor.
Wow. That's quite a roller coaster ride. It's a reminder that even for billionaires, nothing is guaranteed. Exactly, and it's not just individuals feeling the impact of these market shifts. We've seen entire sectors experience both booms and busts.
Yeah.
I mean, remember how we talked about the luxury goods market facing a slowdown?
Right. So while some industries are riding high, others are struggling to adapt.
Right.
I'm curious, though, you mentioned Chinese billionaires earlier.
Yeah.
What's their story? I thought they were facing some headwinds.
They were. Over the past few years, China had been grappling with a property crisis and government crackdowns on tech companies,
Right.
which had a significant impact on the fortunes of many billionaires.
Hmm.
But in 2024, we actually saw a resurgence in their wealth.
Oh,
Individuals like Pony Ma of Tencent Legion of Xiaomi and Chen Tianqi of Cambricon Technologies all saw their net worth increase.
that's interesting. So what changed? Did the Chinese economy rebound, or did the government ease up on those
Well,
restrictions?
it seems like a bit of both. The Chinese economy showed signs of recovery, and there were indications that the government might be loosening some of those restrictions on tech companies.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a significant development, especially considering the size and influence of the Chinese economy on a global scale.
Yeah, it definitely raises questions about how these shifts in global economic power will kind of play out in the coming years.
Right.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, there's another trend I wanted to pick your brain about.
Okay.
And that is the fact that younger billionaires seem to be outperforming their older counterparts.
That is a fascinating trend.
What do you think that says about the changing landscape of wealth creation?
Well, it makes you wonder if younger entrepreneurs are simply more in tune with the latest technologies and trends like AI and crypto.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just more willing to take risks or embrace new business models.
Yeah. What's your take?
I think you're hitting on some key points. There's definitely a sense that a new generation of entrepreneurs is emerging, one that's, very comfortable operating in this digital-first world and leveraging the power of new technologies.
Right.
They're not afraid to disrupt traditional industries and challenge the status quo. It's like we're witnessing a generational shift in how wealth is being created and accumulated.
Exactly. And it'll be fascinating to see how this dynamic plays out in the years to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we dive deeper into the future of wealth, let's talk about a few more individuals who had particularly noteworthy years,
Okay.
both for their successes and their setbacks.
All right, let's hear it. I'm always up for a good billionaire tale.
Well, first let's talk about Carlos Slim.
Okay.
He's a Mexican billionaire who holds major stakes in businesses across various sectors, from telecom and banking to construction and energy.
Okay.
But in 2024, his net worth took a hit.
Oh, what happened? Did one of his businesses go south?
Well, it was actually a combination of factors.
Okay.
There were some unfavorable exchange rate fluctuations impacting the Mexican peso, which hurt his investments. And then there was market uncertainty following the election of Claudia Sheinbaum, a left-leaning candidate as Mexico's new president.
So political shifts can have a real impact on even the most established fortunes.
It does, and it highlights how interconnected the world of wealth is with global events and political landscapes.
For sure.
But Slim wasn't the only one facing challenges. Another interesting case is Pham Nhat Vuong, who is a Vietnamese mogul with investments in various industries. His electric vehicle company, VinFast Auto Ltd., ran into some roadblocks in 2024.
What kind of roadblocks was it? Competition from Tesla or other EV makers?
Well, competition is always a factor in such a fast-growing industry, but in VinFast's case, they saw their stock value drop significantly due to widening losses and market skepticism about their ambitious expansion plans.
Okay.
Despite a partial recovery, the stock drop still took a big chunk out of Vuong's fortune.
So even in a world of, electric vehicles and tech innovation,
Right.
there's still risks and uncertainties. It's a reminder that building and maintaining a billion-dollar empire is no easy feat.
Absolutely, and it's not just external factors like market trends or political shifts that can impact wealth.
Right.
Sometimes it's personal decisions or even unforeseen events.
Give me an example. I love a good story.
All right, how about this? Remember Ricardo Salinas, the Mexican billionaire we mentioned earlier who claimed to be scammed by a former financial advisor?
Yeah, the one who lost over half his net worth in a single day. That was wild.
Well, following that incident, he made the bold decision to take his company private.
Wow, so even in the face of adversity, these billionaires are adapting and making strategic decisions to try to protect their wealth. It's a high-stakes game, for sure.
It certainly is, and it highlights the importance of not just building wealth, but also safeguarding it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from kind of the overall trends to some individual stories.
Mm.
It's been a fascinating journey into the world of the ultra-wealthy.
Yeah, it has.
What else is going on in this world of immense wealth?
Well, there are a few more intriguing stories that I think you'll find fascinating.
Let's hear them. I'm all ears.
First, let's circle back to Donald Trump. His resurgence in wealth this year is quite remarkable. It is remarkable, especially considering his, history of financial ups and downs.
So what's behind this latest success story?
Well, his majority stake in Trump Media and Technology Group Corp, or DJT for short, has played a significant role.
Okay.
And what's intriguing is that despite the company reporting a loss last quarter, its market value has soared, pushing Trump's network to new heights.
So even with a loss on the books, the market still sees value in Trump's company.
Yeah.
That suggests that investor confidence is high, maybe betting on the future potential of DJT.
Right.
It reminds us that the world of high finance isn't always about straightforward numbers.
Right.
Perception and speculation can be really powerful forces.
You're absolutely right. It's a complex interplay of factors.
Speaking of complex interplay, we can't forget about the other big winners from this past year. Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, seems to be riding the AI wave like a pro surfer.
He certainly is, as we discussed earlier. The AI boom has been a major catalyst for NVIDIA's success, and Huang's net worth has skyrocketed along with it. Remember how NVIDIA's stock nearly tripled in value this year? It even became the world's most valuable company for a brief period.
It's incredible how fast things are moving in the AI space.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what the landscape will look like, even in another year or two.
Yeah.
And what about Mark Zuckerberg? It feels like he's constantly in the news, navigating one challenge after another.
He has faced his fair share of scrutiny, that's for sure.
Yes.
From, the data privacy debates to the evolving landscape of social media, it hasn't been an easy road for him. And then there was that hefty antitrust fine he was hit with by the EU.
Yeah, I remember that, making headlines. It makes you wonder how anyone can kind of stay afloat with so much pressure and scrutiny.
Resilience seems to be key in this game.
Yeah.
Despite those setbacks, Zuckerberg's wealth has continued to grow. Meta's stock performed well this year, translating into a significant boost to his net worth. Investors still seem to believe in his leadership and Meta's ability to adapt and capitalize on new opportunities.
It's almost like a high-stakes game of chess, constantly anticipating the next move.
Right.
And speaking of anticipating the next move, it makes me think back to that trend of younger billionaires outperforming their older counterparts.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on what might be driving this shift?
It's a fascinating dynamic. I'm inclined to think it points to this generational shift in the world of wealth creation.
Okay.
Younger entrepreneurs seem to possess this almost intuitive understanding of the latest technologies and trends.
Yeah.
They've grown up in a digital world, and they're just very comfortable navigating the complexities of a rapidly changing marketplace.
It's like they have a different playbook, one that's more aligned with the realities of the 21st century economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to disrupt traditional industries, embrace new business models, and take calculated risks. They see opportunity where others see obstacles.
Yeah.
And it'll be fascinating to see how this new guard of billionaires shapes the future of wealth and innovation.
It makes you wonder what the world will look like when they're the seasoned veterans calling the shots. But before we go too far down that road, I want to circle back to that $10 trillion figure.
Yeah.
It's such a massive number, it's hard to even wrap your head around it.
It is mind-boggling when you really think about it. I mean, the combined wealth of these 500 individuals is greater than the GDP of most countries in the world. It's a level of economic concentration that's really unprecedented in human history.
And it begs the question, what are the potential implications of this level of wealth concentration for the rest of us?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? While it's fascinating to kind of peek into the world of billionaires and marvel at their fortunes, it's also important to consider the broader context and the potential consequences of such concentrated wealth.
Right.
I mean, economists, policymakers, social scientists are grappling with this very issue.
Yeah.
There are concerns about growing inequality, the potential for outsized political influence, and the impact on social mobility.
So it's not just about the numbers, it's about the potential impact on society as a whole.
Exactly.
We can't just ignore these concerns, can we?
Absolutely not. These are complex issues that deserve our attention and careful consideration.
Oh, okay. So we've talked about the tech titans, the political influences, the winners, the losers, and this mind-blowing concentration of wealth. Where do we go from here? What else is there to uncover?
There's always more to uncover, especially when you're dealing with a topic as dynamic as wealth.
Right.
We've still got more ground to cover, more insights to share, and more questions to ask.
Sounds like we're just getting started. Then let's
Yeah.
keep diving. As we kind of wrap up our exploration of this world of billionaires,
Yeah.
it's easy to get caught up in these stories of, their success and their innovations.
Right.
But I think it's important to maybe take a step back and think about, what are some of the potential downsides to this level of concentrated wealth?
Yeah, it's a critical point to consider. While we often focus on the glamour and the success stories, it's crucial to acknowledge that there can be potential consequences of this level of economic disparity.
Yeah.
It's not just about the billionaires themselves.
Right.
It's about the impact on society as a whole.
Right, because it
Yeah.
creates this ripple effect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If a small percentage of people hold such a disproportionate amount of the wealth, it can really skew the balance of power and opportunity.
Yeah, that's exactly the concern. One of the major worries is this widening gap between the ultra wealthy and everyone else.
Right.
And as this gap grows, it can lead to a whole host of societal issues, things like social unrest, political instability, even a decline in overall well-being.
It's like we're creating this world of haves and have-nots.
Yeah.
Where the rich get richer and everyone else is just kind of struggling to keep up.
Right. And it's not just about, income inequality.
Yeah.
It's about access to opportunities, education, healthcare, even basic necessities.
Right.
When wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few, it can create a system where, those without resources really face significant hurdles in trying to improve their lives.
So it's not just about how much money people have. It's about the power and influence that comes with that wealth.
Yeah.
And if that power isn't used responsibly, it can have some pretty far-reaching consequences.
Precisely, that power can be used to shape policies that favor the wealthy influence elections, to kind of maintain the status quo and even control the flow of information to protect their interests.
Yeah, it can create a system that actually reinforces those inequalities, making it even harder for people to break free.
Right. It's almost like a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
It can be. And it's a cycle that's difficult to break.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible.
Okay.
There are solutions out there, but they require a collective effort and a willingness to challenge those existing systems.
So what can be done? What are some of the solutions that people have proposed to try to address this growing wealth gap and mitigate some of these potential negative consequences?
Well, there are a number of policy options that have been proposed and debated for years. Progressive taxation, for example, is a system where, those who earn more pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes.
Right.
And this can help to redistribute wealth and fund social programs that benefit those in need.
So it's about creating a system where those who benefit the most from the economy are contributing proportionally to support the well-being of society as a whole.
Exactly. And another area for potential solutions is increased investment in education and social programs.
Okay.
By providing access to quality education and affordable health care, we can empower individuals to improve their lives and break that cycle of poverty.
So it seemed like kind of foundational elements of a just and equitable society.
They are. And then there's the role of regulation. I think stronger regulations are needed to prevent monopolies and curb excessive corporate power. When companies become too big and too powerful, they can stifle competition, they can exploit workers, and they can influence political decisions in ways that really harm the public interest.
So it's about striking a balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fostering innovation and economic growth, but also making sure that those benefits are shared more equitably and that the potential for abuse of power is minimized.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about creating a system that works for everyone, not just those at the top.
It's a big challenge, but it's one we can't afford to ignore.
I agree.
The future of our society really kind of depends on it.
The choices we make today will have a profound impact on the world of tomorrow.
Well, that's certainly a thought-provoking note to end on as we conclude our deep dive into the world of wealth and its implications. I want to leave our listeners with this. The accumulation of wealth is a powerful force, but it's up to us to ensure that it's used responsibly and for the benefit of all, not just a select few.
Well said.
Let's continue to engage in these conversations, explore potential solutions, and strive for a world where prosperity is shared and opportunities available to everyone. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparked your curiosity, challenged your assumptions, and left you with some food for thought. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep striving for a better world.